much is Aaron Rodgers to blame for this?
He has some culpability from the standpoint that he's not having his finest year. We all know that. I think he ranks like 19th in QBR. He's completing a lower percentage of his passes, more so than he has in recent memory. We also have to take into account the reality of, and it's. I want to be very, very careful about what I'm saying here, because we all know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man. He's something special. He quit on Mike McCarthy. You could see it yesterday. You could watch him yesterday, and I'm not saying he quit on his team. I'm not saying that he didn't give forth full effort. I'm talking about walking around wearing this ambiance, this aura all over you that says, I have no belief in this guy whatsoever. Get him the hell out of here, or I wish I wasn't here with this guy. That's what he's been wearing. We've seen it for a while. We've heard about it on numerous occasions in the past. He has some culpability, because when you're that great, but you haven't been that great, that can't be all the coach. Some of it is on Aaron Rodgers. But I will tell you this, I have no problem with the firing. I have more of a problem with Philbin being inserted in as the interim coach, because as far as I'm concerned, he was straight garbage as a coach with Miami. He had no business being the head coach then. He has no business being the head coach now. But I understand that obviously he's familiar with the system, how things are done. It might be convenient for them to do that. Having said all of that, my biggest form of trepidation in this regard, Max, in regards to the Mike McCarthy firing, is why was he the only one? As far as I'm concerned, Mark Murphy should have fired himself, the CEO and president for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, he's the one that had Ted Thompson in there for years, and then after that, he's got Gutekunst, and we got to find out what this guy is made of as a GM, so it's premature to judge him. But Mike McCarthy has been there for some time, and for far too many years, we have been lamenting the fact that Aaron Rodgers does not have the requisite weapons that he should have available at his disposal. They have put the franchise on his back. It clearly weighed him down. You got a coach that he believes over the last 3 years has been relatively predictable. So as far as I'm concerned, this is something that was long overdue, not to Mike McCarthy, but in Green Bay, it was long overdue.
This comes down to, do you think the fact that Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in this era have only won one Super Bowl, is that mostly on Rodgers, or is it mostly on McCarthy? That's a slight oversimplification, but barely.
Okay.
This league is about, the NFL is about the coach and the quarterback. If, yes, there's defense, yes, there are other players, offensive line, I get it. If I were building a team, I'd start with the offensive line and the defensive tackles. I get it. But you want to see the teams that are never out of it, they're always in it, they're always making runs, they're always putting themselves in positions to win. Look at the great coach, great quarterback combination. So the question is this McCarthy or Rodgers? And that is a joke. Anyone who thinks this is Rodgers and not McCarthy, what has happened so far, has not been paying attention. Aaron Rodgers is like the closest thing I've seen to Michael Jordan in terms of talent and his ability to influence the outcome of a game in the NFL. And he has one Super Bowl to show for it. That is not on him. And this is a franchise and a region that since Brett Favre, we're going back about a quarter century now, expects, because of the quarterback, and McCarthy was once a top coach, they're in contention every year. This team quit on McCarthy. And more importantly, the reason they had to do it now, look at the teams that are succeeding. And I realize this morning is not the best day to make this point, the way the Bears looked yesterday, the way the Colts looked yesterday. But there are the McVays and the Nagys and the Reichs out there doing work. The league, you know, the influence of Lincoln Riley and the Big 12 and the spread offenses and all that stuff is so clear in the league that if you don't have an innovative play calling kind of temperament, if you don't have a great offensive mind at head coach, or at least a great defensive mind, but in terms of your offense, if you can't incorporate those philosophies in the modern NFL, good luck. And Mike McCarthy, even in the last couple of years, has started to look like a dinosaur, and the team quit on him. And they got to do something to milk these last few years of Aaron Rodgers' career to get something done. This was the right move to make.
Well, it was the right move to make, but like I said, it should not have stopped there as far as I'm concerned. You got to look at from the top on down, from an organizational perspective. When you get rid of the man's quarterback coach, I think it's Alex Van Pelt, if I remember correctly, and you don't even consult him, that is a problem. When you're making those kind of changes, and Aaron Rodgers walks into your office, from what I was told, and he is told to essentially be quiet, shut up, and go play. Okay, you play, we run the franchise. This is how they talk to him. This is before they gave him the contract. Now they did turn around. You gave him back basically $100 million. You look at all the money he's getting paid now. It's like at $67 million right now. Okay, the money that you guaranteed this man. There is some culpability with it because when you are the face of a franchise, when you're the leader, it's not just incumbent upon you to perform. It's incumbent upon you to do everything you can to get others to perform. I don't put most of the responsibility on him, but I don't put all the responsibility on McCarthy. I think people above McCarthy played a role in all of this 4 years, dating back to the days of Ted Thompson. I think McCarthy had something to do with it, and obviously you're going to deal with them before you deal with Aaron Rodgers because I don't care that Aaron Rodgers is having a suspect year this year. He is still, as a talent, the greatest quarterback that I've ever seen in the history of football. I disagreed with Tony Dungy last night, the great Tony Dungy, who I revere, when he talked about a Super Bowl championship coach deserves to be treated better than that because he's only the second coach that's been, fired before the season ended.
Yeah.
It happens to players all the time. I get sick and tired of people doing that. There are Super Bowl championship players that get cut at the drop of a hat, unceremoniously sometimes. No one says anything, but we want to sit up there and write some epitaph or whatever about Mike McCarthy. No, you're a coach that didn't get it done recently. We appreciate what you did in 2010. This is 2018. You weren't getting it done. If it were the players, we wouldn't say anything. Why we got to be so sympathetic to the coach? Tony Dungy, with all due respect.